for Entrepreneurship, Ms. Ana Margarita Hontiveros Malvar. Before we hand you over to them, just like to give an update regarding the happenings in Marawi. Civilians rescued as of 6 p.m., 6th of June 2017, 1,545. Enemy killed, 134. Recovered firearms, 115. All other figures remain as is. As of 6 p.m. also yesterday, there are certain significant developments. For one, the recovery of 52 million pesos in cash from the enemy machine gun nest. Also, 92 more civilians rescued. Also, troops continue to make headway into inner areas of the city. 4. Cleared areas by sector increasingly positive. 5. Compounding development remains to be the use of civilians as human shields and madrasas, mosques as staging areas. Also, a combined figure coming from DSWD and NDRRMC, as of June 5, a total of 45,316,760 worth of augmentation assistance, food and non-food items have been provided by the DSWD to its response centers and field offices responding to the conflict. Also, as of June 5, there have been 46,096 families, or 227,808 persons affected by the armed conflict in Marawi, of which 3,631 families, or 17,716 persons, are still staying in 32 evacuation centers, and 42,465 families, or 210,92 persons, are staying outside the evacuation centers. To give further input coming from initiatives to rehabilitate Marawi, we would like now to defer to Ms. Jingay Antiveros.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Secretary Abella, and to Brigadier General Padilla, and good morning to the press. I'm here on behalf of Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion, who is also concurrently our founding chairman of Go Negosyo and also the ASEAN Business Advisory Council Chair. So I'd like to speak to you for a few minutes about the relief operations program that the private sector has been undertaking. This is called Kapatid for Marawi. It's one of the largest aggregation of private sector organizations involved in augmenting government efforts with regards to reaching out and helping IDPs in coming from Marawi City. So this is really a united response to help support and provide some measure of aid and comfort to our brothers and sisters who are displaced by the fighting that's been ongoing. So the Kapatid for Marawi is a program, it's an on-ground program that has been started about a week ago. This is supported by Philippine conglomerates, the Alliance of Business Chambers, and all the entrepreneurs who are under our Kapatid network. We've actually been undertaking relief operations over the past few days in the areas of Iligan and some of the border towns to Marawi City, specifically Pantar and Sagiaran. We've actually also extended some help to our AFP troops in Camp Ranao in Marawi City. Aside from the relief operations which we have been undertaking, and which we look forward to sustaining in the coming weeks, depending on how soon military operations can help to clear the area. I'd also like to mention that we are also actively engaged in partnerships with local stakeholders. So we've been coordinating with the offices of the different mayors in the area, as well as getting a lot of logistical assistance from the AFP, specifically the 4th Infantry Division Brigade. At the same time, we're also looking forward to providing aid, augmenting what DOH and DSWD ARM is doing on the ground by providing a medical caravan where we hope to deliver some basic medical services to families and displaced persons who are still in evacuation centers, either the big ones or the smaller ones, which are based in schools scattered across the area around Marawi City. More importantly, which I had mentioned earlier to Secretary Abella, and which the Kapatid network is working towards, will really be to help government and the communities in Marawi in rebuilding efforts once the fighting has stopped. I wanted to mention this because we've been involved as well with other initiatives or programs on the ground, specifically in Sulu. Most of you might have heard of the Negosyo para sa Kapayapaan sa Sulu, which is an initiative started by the Kapatid Network and led by PA Joey Concepcion, where private sector is assisting in development programs in the province, which is also part of ARM. So we started that program sometime in December 2016. We launched it in Malacanang together with President Duterte, Secretary Jess Dureza, Secretary Piñol, Secretary Mon Lopez, and of course the local leadership of Sulu led by Provincial Governor Toto Tan. So just very briefly, the Kapatid for Marawi effort is really part of this integrated, consolidated effort by private sector to help out in the situation. We are very concerned about the welfare and well-being of civilians in the areas, and we will continue to assist government, in our efforts to reach out and help. I'd like to mention some of the, with your permission, I'd like to mention some of the companies, who've been instrumental in the Kapatid for Marawi relief operation. So the conglomerates involved here will be companies such as LBC, Philippine Airlines, RFM, CDO, Foodsphere, Century Canning, the Federation of Chinese Chambers, SL Agritech, Land Rover Club, Asia Brewery, and then we also have SM Foundation. At the same time, this is being supported by the Alliance for Prosperity, which is a calling together of the different business chambers all over the country. Some of the members of this alliance who are also helping in the Kapatid for Marawi efforts are the PCCI, which is the Philippine Chamber for Commerce and Industry. We also have the Chinese Federation Chambers. We also have the Federation of Indian Chambers, the Chamber of Mines, Management Association of the Philippines, Makati Business Club, Phoenix, the European Chamber of Commerce, American Chamber of Commerce, PFA, Association of the Philippine Franchisers, and SEAPI, which is the Semiconductor Association of the Philippines. So it's really a coming together, to respond to help our kababayans, down south. We here in Manila simply cannot, sit by and just let this thing happen without getting involved on the ground. We currently have our own coordinators who are working with local stakeholders to ensure efficient and safe passage of supplies, items which are really needed by the families who've been displaced by the fighting. So we've so far delivered about 16 tons of relief items to various areas. So it's about 194,000 individual pieces of various things like food packs, canned goods, much needed water, especially in areas where their water supply now has been contaminated, and they have no access to potable drinking water, medicines, hygiene kits. We've been sending a lot of rice also, slippers, and various other items, so about 94,000 individual pieces. And as mentioned earlier, we've been trying to cover as many of the evacuation areas, including the border towns surrounding Marawi City. I also need to, really extend our thanks to the Armed Forces of the Philippines through Brigadier General Padilla and, of course, the 4th Army Infantry Division Brigade, who've been instrumental in helping to secure safe passage for the supplies and items needed by the displaced families. We're also working closely with PCCI local chambers in Cagayan de Oro and Iligan, headed by Mr. Efren Uy, as well as some of the NGOs which are led by the Women Leaders in Arms, specifically ASEC Shalimar Kandao, who is part of the NGO WOMB, and Nuru Salam. We're also in close coordination with Mayor Muti of Satiaran, because he has one of the largest number of evacuees in the area, considering that his town is a border town. It's just like you cross and 10 minutes you're already in Marawi City. We also have some volunteers on the ground, Joseph Castillo, Jazz Nito, and also another volunteer, Dr. Tiger Garrido, who's been helping us out. So on the whole, Kapatid for Marawi, we plan to continue and sustain relief operations to the area and to augment this with help in terms of medical services. And then we also look forward to assisting the government in rebuilding and rehabilitation efforts down the road, as well as initiating Go Negosyo programs for economic development to help rebuild the economy of Marawi City and the province of Lanao del Sur as a whole. So that's my update for today, Secretary Abella.
Thank you. We'd like now to refer to, you may, if you have a few questions now, we can, but before we do that, we'd like to refer to General Padilla.
Sir, for the significant developments, as was pointed out a while ago, the most important development there was the rescue of 92 more civilians who were trapped inside the city of Marawi. Another is the recovery of cash, cold cash, from a structure that we have been fighting against because of the existence of a machine gun nest and a sniper position. So all of these, particularly the recovery of the cash, is clearly debunks the continuing and maliciously spreading news that the troops are entering houses to take advantage and to loot. On the contrary, that clearly indicates that our troops are well disciplined and are doing their jobs to clear Marawi of all potential existence of booby traps, IEDs that may have been left behind by many of these armed elements that have been going from house to house. Now, as to the owner or the actual existence of this cash, this is yet to be determined, and the investigation will be forthcoming. We have asked for the assistance of the banking sector, the Department of Finance, and the Central Bank to get down to the root of why there is cash in there and where it was taken from or withdrawn and where it could be possibly used. So we cannot share any data as of the moment because of that investigation. Another aspect is on the issue of continuing airstrikes. We appeal to the people of Marawi, to those who have continuously given their word and their requests for us to stop it. I have to pass this along because our troops clearly need to judiciously use force because of a stiffer kind of resistance from the inner enclaves of the city. We feel the pain. We feel the hurt of every member or every citizen and every resident of Marawi. But let us remember that we did not start this from happening. It was the armed group, the Maute Daesh ISIS inspired group, that entered your city to wreak havoc on it. And last night you saw the reason why we have been saying all along that there was a bigger plan. There was indeed a bigger plan, and it was supposed to wreak more havoc. This information came from the many materials and documents that we recovered from the area and that we continue to study and analyze. The Chief of Staff, General Anyo, who himself is a very competent intelligence officer, has mentioned that many of these documents will prove many of those that have been asked us many days prior. So we have known about these plans already, and these are the proof that there was indeed planning that was going on to destroy and wreak havoc and spread terror in the city of Marawi. So thank God we have been able to prevent that from happening on a bigger scale, and really are working to liberate Marawi quicker as the days go on. We do not want this to drag on, and we would like to bring back Marawi to its previous state as a peaceful it's an economic center and a people where people converge. May I also appeal to our social media users and our netizens. There are videos circulating around regarding the armed elements destroying a church. We have requested that this be pulled out because it may fan hatred, it may fan hate, and it is intended by these militants to induce other Christian elements to fight against these armed elements or to sow hatred among Christians and Muslims. Please do not spread this. Let us not buy into the plan of these terror groups to inflame the feelings of our other religions. This is not a religious war. This is a terror attack on the city of Marawi, and we must be clear about it. Right before us in the last few days were clear examples of compassion, of help between Christians and Muslims, of assistance coming from all sectors. And we are very happy that these are coming out to debunk all these claims and attempts to make this a religious war. Many of our Muslim brothers are helping their Christian friends, and many Christian friends are now helping their Muslim brothers in the same way that all this help have been coming along. These are the good stories, and may we request the media to highlight more of these in order to prevent the attempts of this terrorist group to make this a religious war of sort, which is not. May I also convey that the armed forces is determined to continue on with its current operations so that we can take care of the armed elements that continue to remain in the city and hopefully liberate Marawi at the soonest time possible. That is all I have for now, and we are open for your questions.
Hannah Sancho.
Hi sir, good morning. Sir, regarding po dun sa ginagawang clearing operations ng ating security forces po sa Marawi, before po na isapubliko yung cash, nagkaroon po ba ng pagkakataon na yung mga soldiers natin may nakuha din pong cash doon sa iba pang mga bahay na napuntahan nila? Kasi parang kultura ng mga Muslim na hindi maglagay ng pera sa bangko, nilalagay nila sa bahay nila. Sakaling may cash po silang na-recover po, may mga paraan po ba na yung may-ari ng pera lumapit sa, ano ba yung process natin, sir, para maklaim nila yung pera nila ulit?
Ang clearing operation po natin ay ginagawa po natin jointly. So, ang takbo po natin dito, once we are in areas where there are armed resistance, the armed forces takes care of the armed resistance. And by protocol, the follow-on forces are the ones clearing the areas. So many of these are being cleared by the police and our follow-on forces that are supporting our troops in the front line. Our troops, their focus is to deal with the armed elements primarily. So in the clearing operations by sector that do fall in our hands, wala pong kinukuha ang ating mga kasamahan dyan. Ang kanilang pakay ay siguraduhin na walang naiiwang mga patibong o anumang mga bagay na makakasakit sa mga civilians pag sakaling binukas na po natin ang syudad sa pagbabalik ng mga civilians. That's the primary reason that we need to clear every house.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, questions? Laila Salaveria, Inquirer.
For spokesperson Padilla, sir, it's been 2 weeks since the President declared martial law. Sir, in your assessment, was it really necessary for this declaration for you to accomplish what you had accomplished in Marawi? What have you done that you couldn't have done without this declaration?
The question has been repeatedly asked, and I think it has been answered also repeatedly. And may I just convey that we are facing here an armed group that has wanted to take over Marawi, the whole of Marawi. This armed group does not only exist in Marawi itself, but it is supported by other groups in other areas of Mindanao. So this is an extensive network that must be dealt with. And perhaps that is the main reason why we say it needs to be the whole of Mindanao. On other aspects, yes, I think the Secretary has answered that already previously. Are there ways by which we could have done this without martial law? Yes, there are. But then the writ of the suspension of the privilege of the writ would not be there. And that would not expedite the arrest of certain personalities that have been supporting this rebellion. In the context of normal times, pipila po tayo sa korte upang humingi ng arrest warrant at upang humingi ng search warrant. Dito po sa konteksto ng martial law, hindi na po kailangan gawin yan. Pwede na pong agad-agarang mangyari at gawin at ipatupad. So yun po ang nagpapabilis. Kaya in a certain sense, having martial law facilitates the troops and our law enforcement officers in dealing with these kinds of radicals and extremists.
Sir, sir, dun sa video of Hapilon of planning the takeover of Marawi, I'd just like to confirm, has this been shown to the President, and was this instrumental in his decision to put Mindanao under martial law?
All the materials that have been recovered are known by the President, and he is briefed regularly about this.
But sir, was this shown to him before he declared martial law?
This was not part of the material prior to martial law. It was a part of the documents and materials recovered in the course of fighting.
Thank you.
Okay, Celerina Del Mundo Monte.
Good morning, sir. Sir, you have mentioned that the government did not start this war in Mindanao. So, may we know, or is it safe to assume that if only these people, these residents in Marawi, could have been vigilant about what's happening around them, and they told the authorities about what has been happening, this thing could not have happened?
Maraming salamat sa tanong na yan. And yes, indeed, the community could have played a big part. That is why in previous statements that we have made, we mentioned about the concept of shared security or shared responsibility in dealing with the security posture of communities. Ito po ay tulungan. Ang pagkakaroon po ng maayos na seguridad sa bawat komunidad at syudad natin ay isang teamwork effort. Una, ng ating lokal na pamahalaan, ng ating mga kasamahan at mga kababayan sa kanilang mga kanilang lugar, at ng ating security sector. So, meaning to say, the police and the military. So, it needs to be a community effort, and it's a shared responsibility because we have limited number of police, we have limited number of soldiers, and they cannot guard every corner, every portion of the community on a 24/7 basis. But if every member of the community participates by being very vigilant, by watching over their areas and reporting suspicious persons, other materials that are left behind, or things that they perceive as a threat to their community, then the aspect of a quicker reaction to deal with these problems happens and occurs. So, ang konsepto po siguro ay maihahambing natin sa isang komunidad na nakikita natin na puno ng mga CCTV. Kung ang bawat miyembro ng komunidad ay parang mata at telepono na automatically nagre-report ng mga maaaring maging banta sa kanilang kinaroroonan, mas napapabilis po yung reaction ng ating mga pulis at sundalo. Para nang sa ganon, hindi po lumalaki yung problema. So, this is the kind of security posture that we would like to request the community to have. Please bear in mind always that concept of shared responsibility for the security of our land. If we have this in mind and we practice this, then our security posture in every portion of our archipelago will be strengthened tremendously.
So, sir, can we say that the local government should be partly blamed because they have not reacted that early?
Well, there is no blaming here. It's we don't blame anyone. In fact, we mentioned that we did we did have information about the presence of armed groups, and local government was a partner. We created a joint task force made up of police, made up of local personalities, and our military to effect an arrest. But we were not in possession of information that there was a bigger group in the area. So these were revelations that came slowly. And that is why maski na po si Chief of Staff na nagsabi na walang perfect intelligence. Madaming impormasyon, nakakalam natin, at kung paano natin gagamitin ito, yun ang nakakatulong. So, at the moment or at that time when we had those initial information, we immediately acted. At yung action na yon ang nag-trigger na silbing revelation na meron palang mas malaking grupo dito na hindi pa natin nakita o hindi natin nakuha yung impormasyon.
So, sir, this should serve as a warning to other areas in Mindanao wherein some family members have this very close ties even if their other relatives are engaged with illegal activities.
Kaya nga nabanggit ko na lagi natin dapat itanim sa isipan natin na yung pagbabantay sa mga lugar natin ay isang shared responsibility. Dapat sama-sama tayo. So kung meron kayong nararamdaman o nakikita na palagay nyo maglalagay sa alanganin sa inyong mga kanya-kanyang lugar, ngayon pa lang po dapat sineshare nyo na yung information na yan para na-assess at napapag-aralan ng ating mga authorities para matulungan kayo.
Sir, last question for me. Do you have, since this war is already on its third week, do you have any estimate as to how much na yung na-spend ng military or ng government with this war?
The expenses related to this military campaign has not been summed up yet. Hindi pa natin ginagawa yon, no? Siguro pagkatapos na. Kasi ang pinagtutuunan natin ng pansin ngayon ay yung military activities sa front lines para maka-accomplish natin yung sinabi nating mission natin sa simulat sa POL nung simula nung bakbakan na to, which is to clear and liberate Marawi.
Thank you. Dexter Ganibe to be followed by Ina Andolong and then Chris Jose.
Hi, General. Good morning. Sir, balikan ko lang yung binabanggit nyo kanina, kaugnay doon sa social media, yung mga pinapakalat ng Maute. Gaano po kaseryoso yung magiging epekto nito?
Alam niyo po, ang isa po sa pinakamalaking pinagkukunan ng karamihan ng ating mga mamamayan ng balita ngayon, lalo na po yung may mga smartphone, social media na kumpara sa ibang bahagi ng mundo, increasingly growing yung ating mga netizens sa Pilipinas. Kaya nagiging malaking parte ng ating information campaign o sa pinagkukunan ng balita yung paggamit ng social media at ng mga smartphones. Ngayon, itong nangyayari ngayon na pinalalabas ng mga maling balita at disinformasyon, nakakaapekto yan sa isipan ng mga tao. So kung ang akala nila ito ay totoo at ito ang kanilang paniniwalaan, then the disinformation will grow and make it worse. So that is why we continue to appeal and to request netizens to be responsible members of the net, to use and only be discerning of information that they know to be true, and not to spread whatever it is that they think and they feel are mere propaganda and mere fake news.
So, hindi lang armas ang ginagamit ngayon ng teroristang grupo?
Tama po. At ang mas mahirap po dito at ang pinakamalaking laban na dapat ay kaparte lahat yung ginagawa po nating kampanya para linisin ng net at ang social media ng mga irresponsableng tao na gumagamit nito. Natanong
ko po yun, follow-up ko po kay Spokesman Abella. Sir, meron po tayong communications group. Ano po ang nagiging role ngayon ng ating mga officials sa communications group para ma-counter ito mga ganitong pagpapakalat ng propaganda ng terrorist group?
Well, at this stage, coming from the OPS side, what we're doing is managing the messaging. No, when I say manage, I don't mean to say we put a spin. No, I'm just saying that we try to vet as much as possible. We try to come up with responsible and carefully vetted news. So. And we are also beginning to at this stage we're also beginning to develop our social media arm. Okay, so but again and again we just want to put across that coming from OPS, what we're aiming for is not so much speed but accuracy. We want to make sure that what you get is, for example, like this. We don't just come out with any unvetted news. For example, everything we share with you is really has been carefully vetted by AFP.
Mhm. Kasi kung may sa Middle East kasi sir, merong isang company that came up with the Ramadan video showing yung effect nito dun sa mga kapwa nila Muslim. Hindi ba ang government could send a message also sa ating mga kababayan kasi napakaliit lang ng grupo ng Maute but yung message nila sa social media ay napakalakas na lahat naapektuhan at nakukuha nila yung gusto nilang i-create na hatred sa population.
So your question is?
Ano na po ang hakbang na ginagawa ng
Meron
government
po
natin bukod dun sa armed na ginagawa ng ating AFP? Ano naman po ang role?
Coming from our side po, we're actually we're developing from our own side. And but you also have to understand, but if these are really apples and oranges if you're beginning to compare. But basically, these extremist groups have been have actually used social media to their use of social media to an optimum effect, no?
Kasi we have sa communications group we have officials na may mga blog na maraming maraming followers, maraming following. Bakit hindi natin kayang i-convince ang mga followers ng ating mga public officials?
We'll just have to wait for the process to unfold properly, okay?
Pero sir, napakabilis nung ginagawa ng mga terroristic group. Hindi natin napipigilan yung pag-spread nila ng kanilang hatred campaign.
Again, social media is something that has to be properly managed.
Thank you. Ina Andolong.
Dexter.
Okay.
Bilang dagdag na kasagutan lang doon sa tanong ni Dexter kanina. Kaya nga po, ang panawagan ay sa ating mga gumagamit ng social media. Kasi ang sikreto po dito is yung pagiging viral ng balita. Kaya kung kayo ay isang responsableng vlogger o responsableng tagagamit ng net, at tulad ng aking nabanggit, alam nyo na hindi ito totoong balita at wala itong pinagbabasihan at agad-agaran, pinuputol nyo na doon, hindi na po yan manganganak. Hindi na po yan hahaba. At madi-discourage itong mga grupong ito dahil hindi nila nakikita yung viral trend na tumataas. Nandun po yung sikreto. Kaya nasa sa atin yan bilang isang bansa. Kung kayo po ay, alam ko mahilig po kayong sumunod ngayon sa mga balita at nakikita nyo po ang mga larawan at mga video na nanggagaling po sa lugar ng Marawi. Nakikita niyo po na napakalaki na po ng mga naging na-damage na lugar. At kamakailan, may lumabas din sa ibang network nang nangyayari po sa gitnang silangan. Ang tanong po natin yun po ba ang gustong mangyari ng ating mga residente dito, ng ating mga mamamayan? Alam ko po ang kasagutan. Ayaw. Hindi. Yan po ang kasagutan doon. Kaya ayaw din namin mangyari yan dahil mahal natin ang bayan natin, mahal natin ang lugar natin. Kaya nga po, bilang isang Pilipino, isang bansang Pilipino, we must collectively condemn. We must collectively work against the evil efforts of all these armed groups that is trying to destroy this country. If you love your country, if you love your community, if you love every member of your family and the friends you have from whatever religion there are, you should be part of that collective effort working against evil forces who are now attacking our communities. And that is where the secret lies in putting a stop to this viral effect that is now taking place. Be responsible. If you love your country, your family, your community, you should be a responsible user of social media. You should know when to put a period when there is already an attempt to influence you to spread something. Let us be very clear about that.
Dexter, wait.
Sir,
Miss Ontiveros, wait, Dexter. Miss Ontiveros?
Okay, after Ms. Ontiveros, we'll just have one last question, okay?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to augment to your question, sir, no? Again, terrorism kasi is really based on hatred. So that's really what they want to incite. So I think, as people who love the Philippines, as citizens of this country, as people who are responsible as well for our own families, our own communities, our own constituents. It's really our personal responsibility to put a stop to the spread of such hatred. So I think whether you are government, whether you are military, whether you are in the private sector, whether you are in the media, regardless of your occupation or political inclinations, I think it's really a responsibility on our end to put a stop to hatred. We can choose not to be part of that cycle by simply, just simple things of condemning it openly, or simply not spreading false information or not spreading such videos which actually help to incite hatred. I mean, I work in Muslim Mindanao area. I go to Sulu quite often, and we have relationships also with a lot of our Muslim brothers, and even on their end they also condemn such acts, and they're also part of this country. So I think we need to really exert our own individual efforts and be responsible about the kind of information that we spread. We will only help fan the flames of terrorism if we help to incite hatred by being part of that cycle. So, I'm an ordinary citizen of this country, just trying to help out, but it's also partly my responsibility to speak out also against such violence and hatred, and we can all do the same thing. I don't think you want that kind of violence to spread endlessly beyond the borders of where it is right now. You don't want to plunge our country into chaos. So it is our responsibility. That's something that we jointly share with the government, with the military, and all organizations who are involved in helping to reestablish peace in Mindanao.
Thank you. Ina Andolong, last question. Pakiabot yung microphone. Yeah.
For General Padilla, sir, yesterday President Duterte told troops in North Cotabato to tapusin na daw yung war with Maute. I believe over the weekend he said hopefully daw dapat yesterday natapos na, and you mentioned that operations are still ongoing. How long do you see this still continuing?
Like the previous statements that you have heard about the assessment on the ground, we put the decision on the hands of our ground commanders, because our ground commanders have a clear and a complete appreciation of the complexity of the battlefield. So it is up to them to tell us, not us, from who are here in the safe zones. Now, we can't say right now because of the resistance that we're facing, but what we do know and what we do announce is that their world, the enemies or the terrorist world, is continuously growing smaller and smaller by the day. And as this grows smaller, we are getting more stiffer resistance because they're trying to defend a key personality or a key sector that they are holding, and they do not want to submit, to surrender. So the eventual outcome would be very clear if they continue to resist like that. But we are trying our best, we are doing our best, we are laying down the lives of our warriors and our heroes just to be able to expedite the liberation of Marawi as quickly as we can.
Offensives, sir, are still ongoing, clearing operations, but could efforts to start the normalization of the city already start? I mean, I think, is it true that today, one of the hospitals, yung Amay Pakpak,
Amay Pakpak's
could
emergency,
be open
yes,
today? And is that a sign that maybe some sort of normalization is starting?
Yes. I understand, Ina, that we are working closely with local government that in cleared areas, they can come in to start the slow process of rehabilitation and reconstruction. But primarily, we are aiming to restore normalcy by bringing the services back. So health fields are part of the services that must come from government. And in Amay Pakpak, many of the areas of the hospital has been destroyed. But the operating room and the emergency section, I think, is immediately usable. That is why an announcement was made na pwede nang gamitin yung emergency room at saka yung isang area doon. Pero hindi yung kabuuan ng buong ospital dahil nasira at sinunog.
So, dun sa cleared areas, sir, what kind of reconstruction could begin? as you mentioned?
I am not aware of how this effort will push through, but based on the initial information that we were able to receive, there will be discussions between our commanders to ascertain whether the areas they have cleared can sufficiently be taken over by local government. So let's wait for that development. And from here, at my end, I cannot make the decision because
Okay.
they do need to make the decision.
For Ms. Ontiveros, ma'am,
Yes.
apart
Ina, hi.
from relief, yesterday si Secretary Briones talked about 6 big companies that have offered to help in the repair of damaged property or schools.
Facilities.
Do you have any information on that? I mean, offers to rebuild damaged properties, and also, sir or ma'am, if you have data on yung damage to property na caused by the fighting.
Okay, I think in terms of the information on the value of the damage to property that has been given, I guess the best source for that information would be coming from the Office of Secretary of Abella, or maybe even the AFP, no, or NDR MMC. At the same time, with regards to your question about companies who are willing to come in and help at this stage, there's actually a massive effort really coming in from the private sector, from different groups, no. So you're talking about big and small organizations who are already willing to help. So it's possible that some private companies have approached Secretary Briones DepEd specific for their interventions to help rebuild classrooms, which is, I think, fantastic. At the same time, in terms of the Kapatid efforts, which is led by PA Joey Concepcion, we're really concentrating right now on the delivery of basic food and water items, which are much needed, and then to be followed by a medical caravan. And then, of course, because we are involved specifically in economic development programs as part of rebuilding communities that have been devastated by either conflict or are subject of extreme poverty, then we will come in really for economic development programs. And we have a very wide network of companies also involved heavily in development, construction, etc. So definitely we will be asking help from these kapatids, no, to come in and assist as well in the rebuilding. I think it's important, regardless of the efforts which are emanating from different sectors. I think it's important, firstly, that these are integrated, consolidated, and are not redundant, so that we do not see a waste of time, effort, resources, and a people when we start helping to rebuild the communities of Marawi City.
Okay, last question for General Padilla. Chris Jose.
Sir, from time to time, nagbibigay kayo ng update tungkol dun sa operations, sa mga na-rescue. Sir, wala kami naririnig na update tungkol naman dun sa mga na-hostage ng Maute Group.
Kasi wala kaming update na nakukuha, kaya hindi namin maibigay. Kaya kami hindi nag-i-include. Ang sabi nga ni Secretary Abella kanina, sinisikap natin na maging accurate at maging makatotohanan lagi ang binibigay natin. Kaya sinisikap natin na kung anong binibigay, tama ito. So that is where the vetting lies. So whatever information we get and convey to you goes through that process. So if we don't get any update of any sort, then we don't have any reason to give you anything because we don't have anything ourselves. But we are trying to work with other sectors to locate and to effect an rescue.
Sir, na-establish na po ba yung bahay na nakuhanan ng pera? Kung kanino
Sino
po yun?
nagmamayari? Tulad ng aking nabanggit kanina, hanggang sa kasalukuyan, hindi po natin alam. And it is the subject of the investigation that is ongoing.
Sir, dun sa continuing operations niyo po, nabanggit nyo na 10 to 15% na po yung 10 to 15% na kukupkup po ng Maute Group. As of this moment, sir, ilang percent na po yan? And yung sa inyo po?
Actually, iniwasan na rin namin magbigay ng percentage dahil ang ground commanders sa area nung isang araw ay nabanggit na mas maaring higit o mas maaring mas maliit pa. So, hintayin na lang natin at inatabayanan din namin yung kabuuan ng report ng ating ground commanders tungkol sa assessment sa ground. Pero ang kanilang binibigay na prognosis ay yung kaninang sinabi ko na lumiliit na at kumukonti na yung hawak nilang lugar. At kung kayo po ay may mga kasamahan na nanggagaling po mismo sa Marawi, mapapansin nyo rin na makana-kana lang ang mga putukan. Hindi na ganun kasing dagsa nung tulad ng mga nakarang araw. Indikasyon na kinokonserba nila yung kanilang hawak ngayon. at nauubos na. So, yun po ang nangyayari ngayon.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Thank you, Ms. Hontiveros. And thank you, AFP spokesperson, Brigadier General Restituto Padilla. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan and PTV. Thank you.